This is Kam Lee, yeah, that motherfucker. And you're listening to The Ritual with Lady Death on Metal Messiah Radio. There's a hatred inside me, there's a hatred in my soul. There's a hatred inside of me, there's a hatred burning inside my soul. I fucking hate you. Inside my soul. I fucking hate you.
Hello everybody, this is Lady Death. Tonight the legend vocalist Mr. Kam Lee is joining us to talk about his recent projects, including Broken Gravestones, Gravewax, the Grotesquery, and definitely solo project Kam Lee. And surely, since I'm a big Death fan, I can't help myself without asking him a bit about him being part of the American band Mantas, which led to one of the greatest death metal bands of all time, Death. First of all, let me thank you for giving us a bit of your time, Kam, and welcome to my show.
Well, thank you for allowing me to come onto your show and annoy the hell out of your listeners and be the sarcastic son of a bitch and bastard that I usually am. No, thanks for letting me come on the show.
No problem, don't worry. So, I know you hate talking about your past or your ex-bands. I was thinking asking you one question about it. You joined the band Mantas, or pre-Death, back in 1983 as a vocalist and a drummer. You became known as the originator of death metal grunting vocal style after that, I guess. Do you consider Mantas' early Death an important era in your career? And how did you just come up with this grunting vocal style?
It's not that I hate talking about my past bands or my ex-bands. It's just that I get, I really hate being asked the same tedious questions after decades of doing interviews. I've been asked pretty much the same question or a variation of that same question over and over again, and it gets kind of tedious of answering that same question over and over again. I joined Mantas. It's kind of weird, you know. You're going to go and you're going to get hearsay of how things it got created, but you know, Mantas was a combination. Mantas was a combination of three people coming together and creating a band. It wasn't like it was already established and I joined. Rick and I had actually already been creating some and writing music together before we even met Chuck. So Rick and I had been working on doing some stuff together. We had actually started learning Venom tunes. We started learning Teacher's Pet and the song Poison as cover tunes and started working together at my house before even meeting Chuck and moving over to Chuck's garage. But do I consider it an important era in my career? Of course I do. I mean, I'd be a fool not to consider it an important era. I consider it an important era because I, along with Rick and Chuck, we began the foundation of what is death metal. We planted the seed. We broke the ground. And that is the foundation of death metal. Mantas and Death is the foundation of death metal. So I'm proud of being a part of that. What I don't like about it is the years later, after Chuck's death, after Chuck's demise, the people that took over the death camp, the lies that they created to kind of keep me out of it, racially motivated lies, because it's obvious that they're racist and they want to keep me out of it. So they can't deny the fact that I was there, but they want to deny and give me little credit. So they lie and they create these lies in order to keep me out of it, you know, motivated by racism. That it's obvious it's racism because it can't be anything else. I'm an asshole, sure. There's a lot of assholes out there. They don't get black-marked because they're assholes. I'm blacklisted and black-marked and pushed out because of I'm not white. And that's the simple fact. And I'm not going to shy and fear it. And you've got white people that are racist in control of that foundation that are going to lie and try and keep me out and make up lies and create lies to try and keep me out. Like I said, they can't erase the fact because there's fans out there that know the fact, know that I was that there back then, know that what positions I held, know that I really created the logo. Regardless of what Wikipedia says, Wikipedia lies because it's made by those people. Wikipedia isn't the place to find facts. Wikipedia is lies created by the people in charge of that foundation that they're going to lie and cover it up. But I don't care. I've gone on to do, if Chuck was such a great artist, if he continued, why didn't he do more art? I am an artist. I'm a proven artist. I have, not only do I do music, I have my own art career. I've done album covers. I've done comic books. I've done art that I sell, t-shirts, designs. So I'm an established, proven artist. I don't have to, lie to try and say that I did something when I did it for real. But those people in control, they lie, they cover it up. But let's get off that. I got off base here. Basically, yes, I am proud of my position of being in the band back then. So yes, I'm proud of that. How did I create and come up with the growling style of vocals? I didn't really come up with that in Mantas and Death. I was doing the type of vocals. I was playing drums and doing vocals, so I just doing vocals that I could do. I didn't come up with the growling style till I got into Massacre. And how I came up with that is as I wanted to do a polar opposite of what was kind of the established metal back then. There was high screechy kind of vocals going on back then in 1985. I wanted to do the polar opposite. I didn't want to go with the high screechy type vocals, the Jeff Becerra type vocals, or the vocals that were kind of being established in the scene. I listened to what Tom G. Warrior was doing and the nuances and the sort of way he did things, and I took off of that and I went deeper with it. And I thought of things, werewolves, dogs growling, that had played a very important part. Demons in movies, that had a real important part. I'm very influenced by horror movies, and all death metal really is. The foundation of death metal is in horror movie, basis. But that's how I came up with the growling style. I wanted to do something that represented sort of that more angst style, something that would just come out naturally from a growl. It's kind of like a snarling dog would do. And that's kind of like where I came up with that.
Okay, so now let's start with Broken Gravestones. It was formed back in 2008 by you and 3 other musicians located in Spain. How did it happen, and was it hard for you to work with them since they are in another country?
No, it wasn't hard for me to work with people in another country. Actually, how Broken Gravestones came about was I wanted to meet Noel Kemper after hearing his band Gruesome Stuff Relish and Altar of Jallow. I heard the Gruesome Stuff Relish and I instantly became a fan. I heard it and I was like, fucking A, this is fucking amazing. I need to meet this guy. I really love this band. So I became a fan of his stuff first, a real fan of his stuff, and I wanted to meet him and work with him, and that's how it happened. I contacted him like everybody does now over the internet, and I said, man, I'm a fan of your stuff. He was amazed. And I was actually, Kam Lee was being a fan of his stuff. And I said, man, I want to work with you. And he just so happened to be working on Broken Gravestones and, had the demo out with him singing on it. And he said, well, I got this band Broken Gravestones. Would you like to come in and do it? And I said, yeah, let's do this. And we worked on the Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, which is, I came up with that title, and I came up with the vocals for that song. The rest he already had written. So I just came back in and kind of just redid the songs he already had written. But yeah, that's basically what it was. It was just me being a fan of his stuff and wanting to get in touch with him and work together with him. So that's basically how it happened.
Alright, so you released a self-titled demo in 2009 and an EP, Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, in 2011. Both represent down-tuned, old-school death metal with some 19th Swedish death metal influences in. You don't mind the Swedish death metal influences in your music since you are an old death metal school musician from the US. Usually I expect a pure American death metal style from any American death metal band.
Well, yeah, that was the whole thing is I heard what Gruesome Stuff Relish was doing, and it had that 90s Swedish death metal influence. And I'm a huge fan of Swedish death metal, especially the early stuff like Grave and Entombed and bands like that. Like I said, when I heard Gruesome Stuff Relish and I heard what Noel was doing, I was blown away by it. And I said, I've got to work with this guy. Yeah, I guess because all the bands that I do, that I work with, like with Roger Johansson, I do, Bonar, and I do the Grotesquery, which also has a staple Swedish sound. I don't particularly look at myself as being an American death metal style vocalist. I do my own thing. I think when people think of American death metal style vocals, they think of more of the Cannibal Corpse, kind of what George Fisher and what Chris Barnes kind of do. That kind of became the staple death metal, and that's kind of like what Cookie Cutter and what everybody in mostly America tries to do now. They just want to clone those guys. I don't have that many clones in America. Matter of fact, my clones, the guys that adhere to me, seem to come out of England for some reason. Mark Greenway from Napalm Death and Dave Ingram and guys like that are British vocalists. A lot of British vocalists kind of like picked up the stuff and influences from me. American vocalists, there's not very many, and not any that I think of that actually do what I do.
Alright, so your last release was an EP released in 2011, as I said. Are you working on some new materials?
Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it? The EP came out in 2011. As far as working on new material, Noel, once in a while I'll hear from Noel. Noel's actually kind of a hard guy to get in touch with. I'll hear from him every once in a while, and he says he's got new stuff to work on. And then I say, great, send me the new songs. And then I never hear from him for a couple months, to sometimes a year or so. So as far as new stuff, I have no idea. Look, the way I do it is I don't pressure the musicians I play with. If Noel's writing stuff and he feels that the stuff works better for the bands, his bands, I'm not going to pressure him to try and use it for Broken Gravestones. We worked on Broken Gravestones together. It was fun. It's done. If something else happens, if he comes up to me one day and says, hey, I got all the Broken Gravestone stuff written, here it is, then we'll work on something. But there is no plans. It's kind of up in the air. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. There's no plans. Like I said, I don't pressure musicians I play with. If they come up with something, if you pressure somebody, then they're going to write stuff that's not really coming from the heart. They're going to write stuff just to get stuff done. I don't want to work with musicians that want to write stuff to get stuff. I don't want to pressure anybody to do something that they're not feeling 100% comfortable with. I want to work with guys that want to create something and want to work with me together and have fun doing it. Once it's no longer fun, why the fuck should we do it? Why the fuck continue doing it? I mean, I don't want to be second half. I don't want to be shit end of stuff. I don't want to be people, I got some leftover shit and I can't work with it, so I'll just see if Cam will. I don't want to be that guy. I've had a couple feelings, a couple bands I've worked with. That's what I ended up being, is like the toss-away shit. And I'm not going to stand for that. So if something comes up and Noel writes new stuff and it's going to be Broken Gravestone material, then yes, we will do something. If not, it's been done. It got done. It was fun while it lasted.
Okay, moving on. So another project of yours, Gravewax. You teamed up with Mark and Mike Reddick and Brian Foreman in 2009 to form Gravewax. You released till now 2 splits, Pestilent Formation with the Finnish band Klaus in 2011 and Corpus Obscuria with the German band Revel in Flesh in 2014. Are you planning to release any EP or a full-length album?
Yeah, Grave Wax. That was also a fun project. Again, just a project. I got in touch with the Riddick through his artwork. Actually, I saw Mark Riddick's artwork, was amazed by his artwork, got in touch with him about doing an artwork project. Then I found out he did a band called Fetid Zombie. I heard his band Fetid Zombie and was blown away and was amazed. Mark had asked me if I wanted to do some backup vocals for Fetid Zombie, and that's kind of like how it all ended up happening. I did some vocals in one of his tracks. Then I talked to him about it. I said, hey, man, I really love what you're doing. Would you want to do a band together? And that's kind of how Grave Wax kind of happens. Not really a band, but a project, a recording project together. And Grave Wax has always been a recording project. It's never meant to be anything else than a recording project. And that's kind of like what happens. It's just like when I don't have anything else going on and Mark doesn't have anything else going on, we sort of get together and we kind of do Grave Wax. But it's gotten to a point now where Mark is so busy and I'm so busy now that I don't think we'll be doing any more Grave Wax. I think Grave Wax is done. So there is no plans for an EP or full-length album, unfortunately.
Okay, so moving on. The Grotesquery was formed in 2009 as well. You teamed up with three other Swedish musicians. You released your first full-length album, Days of the Coffin Born, back in 2010. The best thing about this album is in the bludgeoning atmosphere shrouding every second of it. Every song is crafted in a way that each moment hits you like a ton of bricks. It was hard for me to choose the best song of this album since it is my favorite one. Which song of this album would you recommend the ones who didn't check the Grotesquery yet, and why?
Yeah, Grotesquery was actually formed kind of simultaneously right at the end of Bonar. Roga and I had been working on Bonar since 2007. Back in 2007, I was still touring with Denial Fiend and that Massacre reanimated tour thing, which that was a complete joke. But the reason why that thing was going on was basically to get Denial Fiend out there, and just one thing turned into a fucking catastrophe and fell on right flat in his face. And but the good thing about it is I got back into music, so it opened doorways. So I'm proud of being a part of it, regardless of how it turned out. Big mistake is once you've burnt bridges with some people in your life, don't ever try to give them a second chance, because they're the ones that are not going to forget, and they're motherfuckers that hold grudges. And you just don't work with people that hold grudges. I hold a grudge. I will tell you that now. I tried to be forgiving. Fuck being forgiving. You fucked me over once, that's it. I ain't gonna forgive you. Fuck you. Fuck off and die. I hope you die a fucking agonizing, long, slow, cancerous death. That's all I can tell you. But let's get on to what I was talking about. Grotesquery, like I said, was formed right after Bonar, the first Bonar. And the reason why we did it is because Roga really liked the lyrical aspects that I did in Massacre on From Beyond. He liked the fact that I wrote stuff based off Lovecraft, and he wanted me to do more of that kind of stuff. But I told him, I said, that kind of vocal concept isn't going to work with Bonar, which was the band we were doing at the time. I said, in order to do that, we're going to have to do something different, because Bonar was always meant to be a tongue-in-cheek band, even though it had a Swedish sound to it. Lyrically, it was tongue-in-cheek, and it was about cannibalism, it was about serial killers, it was about horror movies and gore, and it was very tongue-in-cheek, and it was supposed to be fun and comical and not to be taken serious. So doing lyrics that were going to be based in Lovecraft and Poe, which eventually that's what the Grotesquery, it needed a full band by itself. And that's how the Grotesquery came into play. That's how it got created. So the Grotesquery got created in order for me to be able to work lyrically on different type of lyrics that were based in Gothic horror literature of H.P. Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe, where Bonar wouldn't allow me to do that. So that's generally how it came to be. But the Grotesquery also was something that when I discussed it with Roga, how I wanted it to be is the first album could be established in death metal, but as each album progressed, I wanted to expand and step outside of the death metal realm and start branching out into different genres of dark music, where we could take influences of music outside of death metal and incorporate that into the Grotesquery. Even though the Grotesquery roots and foundation is always going to be in death metal, I wanted the band to be able to branch out musically where you couldn't do that in Bonar. So that was another thing with the Grotesquery, is the first album pretty much is a death metal album. The second album starts to branch out. The third album definitely branches out further away from, it has the death metal foundations, but it starts to branch out in different sort of doom and sort of gothic and sort of different atmospheric type tones. And that's one thing that I wanted the Grotesquery to definitely do. So yeah, it's hard for me to choose a good song or best song, favorite song off of, because each album is different, and there are, there's a great highlights on each album. The first album definitely has the staple death metal, songs. Terrible Old Man is one of my favorites. Nightmares Made Flesh and This Morbid Child. There's so many great songs on that, staple songs. The second album has so much good stuff on it too. The third album, you're getting into like different feels. So, songs like This Is the End and Downfall have a completely different feel of, we start branching out. And I really like that kind of stuff. Where, atmosphere of those songs are different. So it's really hard for me to say a favorite. I just say listen to them all. Listen, because they all are a trilogy, and you kind of have to like take the entire thing as the trilogy and absorb it. You get the whole concept that way.
I have succeeded in creating not one, but 3 homunculi, 3 perfect little companions for Matthew. I fear I shall not be around much longer, so this was important that I have someone to look after my poor Matthew when I am gone. It's just these damn things have an insatiable appetite for blood, and I fear they could even become more powerful than Matthew if they ever got out. I must find a means to spiritually bind them to the house in the same way I have done Matthew.
They are alive. Flesh of his flesh, his little children, he gave them life. Throughout the gambit, transmutations, and black magic rites. Blood of his blood, these tiny creatures, homunculi. They hunger for your flesh. It thirsts for your blood. These horrid things, grotesque crimes. Hungry for flesh, these many monsters can never die. Made immortal by necromantic and various means. Thirsty for blood, these ghastly, hideous fiends. Nightmares made flesh. Nightmares made flesh.
So you released after Tales of the Coven-Born 2 other albums, The Facts and Terrifying Testament of Manson Hamilton in 2012, and your latest release was Curse of the Skinless Bride last year in 2015. These are some sick titles. From where do you get your lyrical inspiration in general?
Well, yeah, 2 albums follow up. Like I said, all 3 albums are a trilogy. So, Tales of the Coffin-Born is the first album. The Facts and Terrifying Testament of Mason Hamilton is the second album. And the third album is The Curse of the Skinless Bride. Now, the thing is, if you get all 3 albums, they jump around. Because basically, my idea at first was to do 6 albums, but then I realized that doing 6 albums was going to become too tedious of that same storyline. It was going to bore the fuck out of people. So I had to condense it to be a trilogy. After the first, when you do first album, you don't know if there's ever going to be a second. So the first album is pretty self-contained story, pretty much about the Ward family. But I always had plans to spread it out even further. I'd been working on a novel for almost 10 years with all these ideas, and had notes and notebooks and full of notes and paper scratchings and chicken scratchings and all these ideas. And that's what I basically took, and I said, you know what, I'm going to take all these ideas and just make it a concept album. So that's what the first album ended up being, was Tales of the Coffin Born. I expanded out from Tales of the Coffin Born with the Facts and Terrifying Testament of Mason Hamilton. When we come to the Curse of the Skinless Bride, even though it's the third album, in the timeline of the albums, it takes place between the first and the second album. So it's a sequel to the first album, but a prequel to the second album. So the timeline that it takes place in, and this always takes place in the Gothic horror timeline of between the 1920s and the 1940s. I never ever established a place of where it's taking place, but in my mind, it always took place in the fictional town of Arkham, which is what Lovecraft created, and around the fictional college university, which was Miskatonic University. So in my mind, it always took place in Arkham, around Miskatonic University. So between the times of the 1920s up into the 1940s. So that's the time frame that all of the storylines take place. But yeah, like I said, the last album, Curse of the Skinless Bride, actually takes place in between the first and second album. And like I said, it's a trilogy, so it has to be kind of like absorbed together. It's not really hard. It's hard to break it down, which is my favorite. There's favorites from each album, and as a whole, I love it as a whole because it tells a great grand story. The titles that I get, yeah, they just come into my mind. Like I said, I'll take a lot of influences from Lovecraft and Poe, but nothing is a direct influence, other than like the first album. I directly took an influence from the song, or the story, the short story from H.P. Lovecraft called The Terrible Old Man, which is also the name of the song. I branched out from that short story and created the entire trilogy around that story. That story was just a foundation, a base. So was a lot of Poe's, stuff. I just wanted to use the feeling of what Poe and Lovecraft kind of were writing, and I branched off using my own stuff. I not only stuck with Poe and Lovecraft. There was other writers that wrote in the Lovecraftian Cthulhu mythos, like Brian Lumley and August Derleth and so many other writers that I borrowed creatures and ideas from, especially with the second album. The second album has a lot of creatures. It's a creature-based album, and that album actually starts in Arkham, but then branches off where the character goes off onto this mysterious island, which is more of my Jules Verne sort of love of the mysterious island and stuff that he wrote, stuff like that. And then it goes into my love of giant monsters, because that's literally what that album ends up being, is a total homage to giant monsters movies and stuff like that.
Alright, so I'm really curious to know. Usually the recording process is hard for you since the other members are abroad?
No, not at all. Like I said, back doing stuff with the Broken Gravestones, because the guys are in Spain. The internet makes it very simple to do this kind of stuff. It makes it really easy to record, file share, and work. And I don't pressure the musicians I work with. I allow them the creative freedom to write the music the way they want to and send the music to me. And I just place the vocals and work around the lyric. I already have in my head the ideas lyrically what I want to convey. I get their music from them, and I work my lyrics into the music. I don't do it the other way around. I don't write lyrics and try to write the music around the lyrics. That's asinine. You come up with a jumbled bunch of shit when you do that. I like to feel the music. Let the music tell me the feeling and the expressions and the emotional content of which I need to put the lyrics into, and that's what I do. I write in a different kind of way. There's guys out there that write in a way that you need to sit down with a fucking thesaurus and a fucking medical book and all kinds of shit to figure out what the fuck they're saying. I don't write like that. I write in a way that's very catchy and hook driven. My lyrics can be simple sometimes, and I repeat a lot of the same lines. That's what is called a hook. So a lot of times, yes, I write in what simple ways. Simplicity, brilliance through simplicity. This is something that Bruce Lee, one of my idols, used to say, is brilliance through simplicity. And I like to keep things simple, but make them brilliant. And that's what I like to do.
Okay, so now let's talk about your solo project, Kam Lee. You formed it recently. Tell me more about this project. Why did you form it? And who are the musicians you are working with?
Yes, I formed a solo project recently because after all these years of learning how to self-taught myself how to play guitar, how to play all the instruments, I've decided to finally start writing music that's for me. I've been doing music for 33 years. I've been doing death metal, majority of that 33 years. I branched off and done a couple like horror punk bands, but the majority of the stuff that I've done that's well known has been death metal. But I've let other people write the music for the most part of it. And like I said, I don't have a problem with that, and I love working and letting musicians have that freedom. But I've still worked trying to fill or fulfill and make happy a certain demography. And I don't feel I have to do that anymore. Like I said, 33 years I've been doing this shit. I don't need to feel like I need to adhere to a certain demography anymore. If I want to write music now I'm not stupid. I'm not going to write something that's going to go off and it'll be country music. Fuck that shit. But I'm going to write stuff that I grew up being influenced by. And like I said, I'm a punker at heart. And my biggest influence back when I started was the Misfits and Sam Hain and early Danzig, early Hellhammer and Celtic Frost, and a lot of Discharge and D-beat punk stuff. So that's where my roots come from, because I'm old. I'm going to be 50 years old this year. So my roots come from even stuff as simple as the Ramones and the Sex Pistols. That stuff is where I come from. So I want to take those influences and stuff from like even gothic rock, like the early Fields of the Nephilim and Sisters of Mercy and that kind of stuff, and just take stuff and bands like Carnivore, which was Peter Steele's band before Typo Negative. When he did Carnivore, I used to love that stuff, and just take all those aesthetics and place them into one and create my own band. And that's what I've decided to do with my solo project. The musicians I'm working with is, I had a different drummer at the time, but he went off to the wayside, so I went back and I got Brynjar Hegelton, which is the drummer in the Grotesquery, because Brynjar is just such a professional guy. He's perfect for what I want to do. He can do everything from blast to groove, and that's what I needed. I needed a guy that was going to be able to hear the MIDI drums that I programmed and play as close to that, with still doing his own stuff and still hold and retain that sort of that feel, and that's what Brynjar can do. As far as guitar players go, I can't play leads, and I know that Aaron Witzel from Cropsy Maniac is an incredible guitar player and is just really great at playing solos and has a really great sound and really good sensibility of picking up stuff really fast. So I decided to work with Aaron Witzel, because Aaron and I also do Acatharta together, which is a funeral doom band. But I knew Aaron could pick up and my songs real easy and learn how to play them, and also bring to the table his unique style. And that's why I chose him.
Alright, so you released a free promo track, 28. As you describe it, it comes with lyrical and vocal approach to convey an overall atmospheric sense of dread, doom, and complete isolation and loneliness. As well, you added that it has a deeper and a very personal meaning. Tell me more about this song, about its meaning.
Yeah, I released the promo track first, 28. Now, 28, it has a history. It's my version of the song 28 Days Later from the movie. We used to play this back in my horror punk band, Cryptids. Actually play this live. And I always loved the way that it felt playing live. It was really cool to do that live. And that band split up and went its own way. And I always wanted to continue to do that. So with this band, I figured this was a good way to kind of break that and do that song. Was be doing it as myself. It wouldn't fit anything else I was doing. But how could I do that song and represent it? So I represent it as myself, because that's what it is. And yeah, I wrote lyrics to it. If you listen to the original version, it's very repetitive, monotone, and it kind of keeps this it kind of goes onto this sad, dreadful, doomy kind of bleak feeling when you listen to the original. And going off of that, I created the lyrics to go along with my version with that feeling of dread and doom and complete isolation and loneliness. And that's what I wanted to do.
Okay, since I really like it, should we expect the upcoming releases with the same atmosphere?
Should you expect? I don't know. Actually, I don't know. Not probably on the first release. You're going to expect some atmospheric stuff, but probably not as atmospheric as 28 came out to be. 28 is just meant to be to represent that part of me. I could write something more atmospheric that will be presented on the album, but there's no plan. 28 is completely a free promo track that can be downloaded for free if someone gets in contact with me and asks for the download code. I have no problem giving you the download code so you can download the song for free. But no, as far as it being, yes, I will do more atmospheric stuff, but 28 probably won't appear on the album or any release. It's just a free downloaded promo track.
Moving on, you announced Jolene Tempest of Bullet Belt as a first guest vocalist on your solo project. Will there be any other guest musicians?
Yeah, isn't it great? I mean, I got Jolene Tempest to do guest vocals. Actually, it wasn't my intention to have her do the guest vocals yet because I'm coming out this Halloween with a 7-inch EP of 4 tracks. It's going to be 2 original tracks and 2 cover tracks. And I had originally contacted Jolene to do vocals for the album, but she was so quick to get back with me about and so excited to do the vocals that I didn't want to let the opportunity slip by. And I said, well, shit, I got this song coming out on the 7-inch, which is called Lamashtu, which is about a female demoness anyways. So I said, well, what a perfect track for her to come in and do. And the rest of the guys in the band, there's gang vocals in the track as well, so I could have the rest of the guys in the band actually do the gang vocals along with it. So it just worked out perfect. Yes, I plan on having more guest vocals on the full-length album. And this is the one thing that I want to do about the guest vocals. I've had guest vocalists before work with me on several albums before, especially Bonar. The first Bonar, I had Killjoy of Necrophrasia. I had Stevo of Impetego. I had Dopey of Meshatizo. So I had, and then the second album, the second full-length album, every song on that album has a guest vocalist. Every song on that, from Sly of Fondle Corpse to even Mark Riddick of Gravewax, to the guys in Cardiac Arrest, to Vincent Crawley from Acheron. I've had even Dave Ingram. I just had so many great people on every song. Noel Kemper's on one of the songs. Just Danny Dead from Dead is on the title track. So yeah, there's a list of great vocalists on the last Bonar. But one thing I made a mistake. I overlooked. And to say it's a mistake, but I overlooked, is I've never worked with female vocalists before. And there's so many great new female vocalists doing extreme, vocals, doing black metal, doing death metal. And I said, I need to take the opportunity to recognize these women doing great vocals. And I know there's a lot of misogynistic assholes out there that kind of just, don't look at women as being equally, equals. They look down at women, and fuck those motherfucking goddamn caveman Neanderthalic thinking bastards. Fuck you. I look at these women, and I look at them as fellows, sharing the same extreme. Now, and there's another thing too. When I hear these female vocalists doing something, they're bringing something to the table the men have kind of forgotten. And a lot of the men are so cookie cutter and so level and flat and doing the same bullshit, flat shit, that they have no emotional content in their vocals anymore. It's just flat. It's just one elephant fart through an entire song. I hear these women come in, and they're doing stuff that the men are missing completely, and that's emotional content. They're bringing in stuff, and you can really feel the angst and the anger and the aggression and the viciousness. The viciousness is in their voice. And that's something I recognize and something that I wanted to have on my solo album, is to, number one, have these women, fantastic women doing these fantastic vocals and showcase them, but not just because they're women, but because they're vocalists that are just exceedingly great at what they do.
Alright, so recently you shared that you are working on a Venom cover track or something like that? Tell me more about this.
Yeah, so Iron Pegasus Records is the label that's going to be releasing my solo stuff, and they have a Venom tribute album coming out, which is basically all the bands that are on Iron Pegasus or sub-labels of the label. So they had asked me, they knew that back in the day I did a Venom cover of the song Poison, and I'm talking all the way back in the Mantas days, and they asked would I be into covering Poison. And of course it's my version now, which is different than what we did back in the Mantas days. It's my version of the Kam Lee version. So that's what we ended up doing, is making that track for the tribute that's coming out. Now I may make the track either available as a free download or an extra special track on something, like, let's say I do the release and it comes out a cassette or vinyl or something cool like that. I don't know. I might throw the Venom song on there just for shits and giggles. But yeah, the Venom song is pretty much a tribute, going to be on a tribute album. So wanted to do that, and it's kind of cool, because it's kind of going full circle, bringing back one of the very first songs that I ever covered in the first place. So it's kind of neat.
Oh, that's really nice. Good luck.
My soul, shadowed in dark. Black is my soul, black is my heart. Black is my soul, black is my soul, black is my heart. Black is my heart. Shadowed in darkness, shadowed in darkness. I see the devil's mark, the devil's mark. Black is my soul, black is my soul. It's black as pitch, it's black as pitch. Black is my soul, black is my soul. Black as the abyss, black as the abyss. I am people who
Okay, so that's it about your solo project. Let's move on about little bit some weird questions. What do you think about the metal scene nowadays in general, especially the death metal scene? I mean, like the fan base and the bands. I'm really excited since you're like one of the oldest death metal musicians. So I really want to know your opinion about it.
What do I think about the current metal scene nowadays in death metal? Oh boy, now I'm gonna get real hate motherfuckers hating me. Okay, first off, I look at the scene. You got to understand how I look at it. I've been in the scene for a long time. When I started in this scene 33 years ago, I was hated along with everybody else that was doing the type of stuff we were doing. We were hated. We were never meant to be rock star status. We were never meant to be rock star darlings. Something happened in the late 90s that I blame a lot of the labels coming in and turning this shit into a commodity. They came in and it turned into commodity. Now you have, I don't know how it is over in Lebanon, but in the United States, you could walk into a mall and you can go into these specialty stores. And in these specialty stores, they've got what they think, what the mainstream think is extreme metal, of bands, everything from Cradle of Filth to Cannibal Corpse to Obituary, sold in the mall. Fucking death metal was never supposed to be sold in a fucking mall. That's fucking poser rock star fucking bullshit. So what do I think of the scene? I think the scene is a joke when you can walk into the mall and see the underground displayed like it's a fucking Walmart of metal. It was never meant to be that. Okay, it was never meant to be that. But it is. So it's a joke to me. Might not be to the kid thinking it's cool to go in and get shit off the fucking, I can walk into the mall and I can just go get my, I found the most new Obituary was in the mall. That's not what it was meant to be. A completely different, mindset today. But, hey, I'm old school. I've been doing this shit a long time. I think it's a joke. Yeah, I think it's a fucking sad joke. And it's not a funny joke. It's not the joke you laugh at. It's a joke you go, you do a face palm and you're fucking rubbing your forehead and you're like, oh, god damn. What happened? What happened? What happened was too many rock stars. Rock stars came in. And what I mean by rock stars, I mean the twats that came in and weren't doing the music for the sake of the music, but were doing the music for the sake of getting laid or getting paid. And when you come into the music scene with that mindset of if I'm going to get laid and I'm going to get paid first, rather than thinking about the music, you're a poser. And that's the problem. There's too many posers in the scene today. Way too many posers. And I know people are going to hate me for that. Fuck you. I don't give a fuck what you think about me. Fuck you, you fucking pussy motherfuckers. But that's the fact. The fact is, there are way too many posers in the scene posing as extreme death metal or black metal musicians or grindcore musicians, when all they are rock stars.
Oh, I tell you what, this is the first time I do an interview with a musician and gives me this opinion, like the first time ever. Every time I ask a musician about his opinion about the metal scene nowadays, they always answer me the same answer. Like, the metal scene is good nowadays. People aren't going to shows as they used to. Lots of people stop going to shows or whatever, but no one ever told me that the metal scene, especially death metal scene, is a joke. Yeah, I do agree with you. But, if they will hate you, as you said in the beginning, because you said, oh no, they were gonna hate me when they will listen to my opinion, they're gonna hate me as well because I agree with you. So lots of people told me and warned me that I'm gonna be hated after doing it. But I tell you what, I did this interview because I appreciate you, I appreciate your work, your killer vocals, your history, and everything you do.
Well, I don't understand why people are going to hate you. I mean, they should hate me. That's okay. I don't give a fuck if they hate me. They shouldn't hate you. I'll tell, hey, don't fucking hate Lady Death. There's no fucking reason you should hate Lady Death for doing an interview with a prick like me. I'm the prick. Hate me. I don't give a fuck. I'm vilified. I've been vilified by the fucking white racist motherfucking dickheads that go all the way back to 1983. Yeah. I know why I'm hated. I'm not hated because I'm a dick. I'm an asshole. Oh, Kam Lee, he's an asshole. He wasn't nice to me. Oh, fuck you, you goddamn pussy. No, the reason why I'm hated is because I ain't white. And nobody, and I was told by a former member, this exact words, nobody is going to follow a band fronted by a chink that has 3 white guys in it. Yeah, former member said that. You think I don't fucking forget? I'm not going to ever forget those words. But anyways, that's why. Because racist motherfuckers want to hate me. And they lied. And you fuckers that want to hate me, you read those lies. And you want to follow those lies. Not realizing that those lies are racially motivated. Maybe not for you. But that's where it all stems from. Racial motivation. Not because I'm an asshole, not because I'm a dick. I'm only an asshole because I speak the truth. And the truth hurts. The truth hurts the liars. I speak the truth, and they squirm. They squirm. They can't shut me up, so they lie. And that's the truth. So don't hate Lady Death for doing this interview. She's only doing her job. You know? She was afraid. She wasn't afraid. She was a little apprehensive, let's say. She was apprehensive to do an interview with me because she knew the negativity that could happen. So fuck you for being a motherfucking cunt if you want to hate on Lady Death and say for any reason. You can hate me all, I don't give a fuck. You hate me all day long. Fuck you. You know, I'm the Omega Wolf. I'm used to it. I can deal with it. But don't hate somebody for doing their job. You know, give this woman props for coming on and taking on a dick like me to have come on the air and spread my fucking disease and my mouth diarrhea all over her radio station.
All right, so stay sick. Anything you would like to add?
You stay sick. You stay brutal. You stay death, Lady Death. Is there anything I would like to add? Okay, let me see. What can I add? Don't hate Lady Death. No, I said that already. I'm a motherfucker and goddamn son of a bitch, goddamn bastard. I said that already. Wait a minute. Let's see. What can I add? Don't eat GMO food because it's not real food. It's genetically modified organisms. Oh, wait. Oh, no, that's not me. I don't give a fuck what you eat. Just eat and die. God, he's such a dick. Why is he such a fucking dick? He's not nice. He's not nice. Okay, no. Okay, yes, I have something to add. Go and like my FB page, the Kam Lee FB page. Find me. Fuck it, hey, I don't know. Find me. Like the band, like the page. Spread the shit like it's goddamn meth. Spread it. Spread it. Spread it so you could just say, I'm not a racist. I don't care if Kam Lee has slanted eyes and yellow skin and is, I don't know what he is. He's like half Chinese. He's Polynesian. I'm not sure he's Hawaiian. I'm not sure he's half white. He got all kind of shit in him. I don't know what he is, but I like him. I like him because he speaks the truth. He speaks the truth. He doesn't give a fuck about what anybody thinks. And that's what you should feel like. If you're listening to extreme metal, underground fucking extreme metal, don't give a fuck what anybody cares about. What are you going to group a fucking, you want a group hug? Everybody group hug. Oh, I listen to brutal metal, but let me hug you. Oh, love. Fuck you. Fuck you. Just be brutal and just fuck everybody else. Okay, that's enough.
That was a funny ending. So thank you for your time again.
You want to see something really scary? You bet. Are you ready? Okay, go ahead. What are you doing?